Hi guys, so I'm going to show you how to make this wrist warmer, which is the same as the headband we made. So it's the waistcoat stitch, but it is crochet, mimicking knit. Now we're going to have some thumb increases just here, which I'm hoping to be able to explain to you correctly, and then we have a chain one here. So it's nothing too complicated. We also have a decrease in here just to bring it back in. Depends on the size of your hands to how big you want to go on this, but this is a pretty good size for most people, I believe, but we can check. You can see that it twists slightly. You can pull it straight, but this is the nature of waistcoat stitch. Sometimes it twists. It depends on how it's behaving for the day. But you can see it's pretty simple basic stitch. We're just doing some single crochets around it in the waistcoat stitch form, then some increases and some more single crochet rows, and then we're skipping some stitches to create the thumb hole with a chain one, and then we're just doing some more single crochet rows with some decreases, which you could decrease more depending on how tight you like it around your hand. So it's really simple basic form, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So I'll show you what you need. That's what it looks like once it's down, so you can see where the thumb increases and where you skip the stitches to go back down. So you need some DK weight yarn. You can do this in any size yarn you like, but obviously you will need to adjust the stitch count to get the size that you need. But this is just some basic DK weight acrylic yarn, and we're using a 6mm hook. Now we use a 6mm hook because waistcoat stitch creates quite a thick fabric. It's a reasonably thick fabric, and it will curl quite heavily and become really dense fabric, which is fine if that's what you're looking for, but I prefer something with a little more give in my hand area for ease of manoeuvring. And just in general, I don't like really heavy thick fabric on my headbands or my hats or anything like that. So I don't like stiff fabric, I like it with a give. So gone up 2 hook sizes than you would normally use on a DK weight, and this gives a reasonably good fabric. But if you want to go smaller, you are welcome to. It does make it more difficult to work with, but that is your choice. You'll just need to adjust stitch counts. So again, this is a really easy one to size up and down as needed. So once you've learned the basic one, you should be able to adjust it to any size you need. So first thing we're going to do, obviously, is just create your slip knot as you normally would and pop it on your hook. Now we need 25 stitches, so we're just going to chain 25 to start with. Should we come in a little? Okay, so chain 25. Keep it loose. Remember, with this stitch you want to keep it as loose as possible, but without being too loose that you know it's going to fall apart. Okay, so as you chain 25. I'm sorry, I've got a bit of a cough with my asthma and this cold, so I do have a tea beside me, so I'm sorry if you hear me drinking that. I think it's better than me coughing. So we're just working from the bottom here. So we've just done our chain 25, so we now need to join it to work in the round. So that's just a basic slip stitch into the first hook down here where you had your slip knot. Just chain into that very last chain you see, and I work straight into it. Some people like to join and then work, but I just work straight into it. It works just as well. So we're doing a single crochet into there. You can just slip stitch and then do a single crochet into there, that's your choice. That's just the way I work. Okay, now we're just going to do single crochet all the way back round. Now I find it best to use a marker so you know where you got to, but my marker's rolled away, so be back in a second. Sorry about that. I have my marker, it decided to go on holiday and roll off the table. So just That first stitch that you've done on, just pop your marker on it. I hook around both so that it's literally around the stitch, but it's your choice how you put it on. That's just the way I feel more comfortable. So then, as I said, we're just single crocheting all the way around. This is just the very beginning. We start the waistcoat stitch after the first round. Now remember, keep this loose because you're going to be working into the post, and that can be quite fiddly if you have it quite tight. The fabric this creates will make it non-holy. As you can see on this one, it's, you know, it's not super holy. We kept it loose, so it's got movement, but it's not got massive holes or anything, even though this is done with a 6mm hook on a 4mm on a DK weight yarn. So don't worry about it being loose and possibly showing a little hole to start with. It cleans up, don't worry. So instead, we're just going to single crochet all the way around this until we get back to the beginning. So you should have a nice single crochet edge to begin with. You can always put edging on the end of this if you want after, that's your choice. Be careful that it doesn't twist on you. I don't know if yours does, but mine often likes to twist on me when I'm going around, even though I've joined it. It's probably something with the way I do it, but it works in the end, and that's all that matters. Obviously there will be a link down below to my blog with the written pattern for this. So if you prefer to work with written, you will be able to get it down on my blog, which is blog.soniajonescrafts.co.uk, but it is linked down below, so don't worry. If I forget to link directly to the pattern, the actual blog is always linked, but I should have a direct link to the pattern below. If I haven't, then just tell me and I'll put it there. Sorry, this is slow. This is just when I'm working on camera, it's an odd angle for me. I know some of you don't like the noise of that stitch mark, and I'm really sorry, but holding it up for long periods of time gets painful. I can hold that for a little bit, hopefully stop the noise too much for you. Sorry if you can hear anything going on outside. This is in a conservatory, so unfortunately you tend to pick up a lot of noise from outside. Not much I can do about that, I'm afraid. This place has the best lighting for filming and least amount of interruptions from other people. There we go, so we are all the way back round. Okay, so now we've got back to the beginning stitch. Let's come in. Oops, sorry if I'm making you dizzy moving the camera there. So we've single crocheted all the way around, and now we're going to start working in these post stitches. So first thing we want to do is move up the marker. And then the first one can be a little fiddly, but there is a little V there, and that's what you're going to do. So you don't want to go into this V at the top here. Let me get my other little hook to point it out. So normally we'd go in this space here with this little V here. What we're actually going to do is go in between these two stitches down this post, and there's a little V in there. If I can just pick it up, I can show you. You see that little V in there? That's what we're going to go in between. We're just going to go in through there, okay? So, pop this back on. As I said, the first row is the fiddliest. Once you get your tension correct, it becomes a lot less fiddly. You might need to give it a little stretch out to get it in. give it a little wiggle, it gets there in the end. Okay, and then we're just doing the normal single crochet into that stitch. So the next one, can you see in between those two stitches we have the V? So we're going in there, and we're just going to go around doing this waistcoat stitch or center post crochet, single crochet stitch, or also known as the crochet knit stitch. So it's known by several different names, which makes it so much harder to know what you're on about. But if you search for any of them, you will find this stitch. And you're just going to do this all the way around, and we're going to do it for 15 rows. So as you can see, we're just going into the V. I'll show you again once I've done one more round, because you'll be able to see the V's easier. But can you see, like, there's a V there, but this is our next one, this V here, so this is what we're going into. And so it's a little fiddly. Try to keep your tension reasonably loose. Excuse me a minute. Sorry about that, guys. My body decided it was a good time to have a sneeze off on. So I'm just going to go around for 15 rows. I won't sit here and do all 15 rows on camera, because obviously you will be bored to death, but and just give a little wiggle. And if you're really struggling, say like this stitch was really tight or something and you couldn't get this hook in, just use a smaller hook, poke it on through, pull it up, and then pop it onto your normal hook and pull it to the correct size. So don't worry if you've done it too tight and you can't get this through. Just use a smaller hook to pull the yarn through, and then make sure you keep it loose on the next row. It's not the end of the world if you've gone too tight, but try to keep it minimal. Helps if I finish that stitch off first, doesn't it? So if you remember, we're just doing basic single crochets, we're just doing them in a different place. So you go in through your hoe, you yarn over, pull back through, yarn over and go through the two. Just a normal bog standard single crochet. Or in the UK this is known as double crochet. I know I confuse people because I use US terms when I live in the UK, but it's just the way I was taught, and so it makes more sense to me. We're almost round this first row. See, that one's a little tight, but we got there. Almost got round the first round. As I said, we're just doing 15 rows of these, so you could pause me in a second, do your 15 rows and then come back, because that's what I'm going to do anyway. I'll do my 15 rows off camera just for quickness, because you don't need to see every row. I will do the next row on camera though, so that you can see the V a little easier, just in case you're struggling, because it can be a little bit of a pain, especially if you're just learning this stitch. Be careful you don't accidentally come out the wrong place as well. You can go in the V and come out the wrong way sometimes. You want to make sure you're coming out between the two stitches and not in the place that you would normally go, because you can get a little twisted. I'll show you that in a second. Try to keep an even tension. I lost grip there, so one of them's a little loose, but it will even out, don't worry about it. Okay, so I've done the last one around there, so we're just going to move the marker up and move on to the next one. So can you see how we've create those V's inside the other V's. Now the first row looks a little iffy, simply because obviously it is the first row and we did the normal single crochet because you can't do the V to start with. So it's from this point on that it will really start to form. So you can see the first row on this is this one, and then it really starts to form. So don't worry if it looks a little funny on this first row. That is perfectly normal and it will even out. So we're just going to go into these V's. I will just do a couple to get my marker secure in place, then I will show up closer for you. See how I went a little tight? I know to go loose and even I still go a bit tight. But okay, so can you see that V just in there? It's in between the two stitches. And that's where we're going. So just in here is the V. You see that V there? And we're going bang smack in the middle of it. And we want to go underneath so that we're going in between these two stitches. And when we come out the back, we're actually coming out underneath this little lump here. Sometimes your stitch can be a little twisted and you end up coming out over here, which is the normal stitch place, which you don't want to do. You want to make sure you're coming out through this upside down V. It looks like the right way to you right now because I'm showing this upside down, but that, when it's normally up, will be a V that's the long way around, and that's what you're doing. You're coming underneath this lump and out through the other V. So you're never coming out in the same place your normal stitch would go. It's always coming out just in between your two stitches. Hope that was clear enough. It's so hard to show. I should probably make something in a chunky yarn to show, which I probably will at some point. But just going round. As I said, don't worry if you've got a little tight, there is manoeuvrability. Just try to make sure you keep it looser for the next row if you get it tight. So I'm just going to keep going round on this. See, I had it too tight again. You'd think I'd know by now, but I don't. But anyway, so I'm going to do rounds up to 15, which will be just where we start on our increases. So if you just go around in the waistcoat stitch, working in the spiral up until you've done 15 rows, okay? And I'll meet you back here for that. Okay guys, so we've now just done the 15 rows needed, so it's time to start the thumb increase. Now this obviously is adjustable. For me, I have my wrist warmers coming, if I just come out a little. See, so I have them, they're arm warmers, they come up to here, and you could do them longer if you wanted, so just do more rows. If you want them shorter, do less rows. All you want to do is decide where you want this base to be to where it reaches the thumb on your wrist here, because this is where you're going to start doing the increases. So just get this to the length that you want, that it then sits there comfortably to start doing those increases. So if you want to do more rows, you'd have that there. You just keep going until you get to this point. So it's really easy to adjust to the arm length that you like, but for us I'm doing just here. And we're going to start the increases on this next row. Okay, so we put the stitch back in and go back in again. Okay, so it's really simple, the increases. So we're going to start by just single crocheting around until we get to the last stitch. So if you're following my stitch count, you're going to single crochet on the in the waistcoat stitch pattern, obviously, but you're going to single crochet around 24 stitches. Just go around until you get to the one before the last stitch. You don't want to do that last stitch because that's where we're going to increase. So just keep going around. As I said, this is really simple to adjust, so you can make this to any size that you feel comfortable having. Helps if you have enough yarn not stuck. Remember, try to keep your tension reasonably loose. As you get better at this, you can go a little tighter, because you'll get used to being able to wiggle it in and out where it needs to be. But to start with, just keep it loose. and then you don't have to do so much wiggling like I do. This is definitely easier when you're not working around a camera. Sorry about the noise from the stitch marker. I wonder if I can tuck it in and see if it's staying. Might pop back out, but we can try. I know this bit's pretty boring, just going around and around, but that's what makes it nice and simple, so that it's a good one to learn to start with. This is great to do a colour work, and I will do some patterns with some colour work and some pictures and things on them at some point. But for now, let's just get the basics underway, and then you can follow patterns that have got a little more complicated on them. Okay, so we've almost finished the round. Remember, we're going to the last stitch, so do one more. Okay, so we've got one more stitch here before the marker, because that's our beginning row. So this stitch here is where we're going to increase. So we're just going to do 2 single crochets into that stitch. So nothing difficult, just 2 single crochets. Get it in there. The positioning of the increases do change ever so slightly depending on which row you're on. So though this one is pretty simple, it's just 2 single crochets into that stitch. The next increase will be slightly different, so keep an eye on it. But now we've done our increase, we're just going to do a single crochet round all the way round. So move your stitch marker up. Now we have 26 stitches, so we're just going to single crochet 26. Remember, single crochet is always done in the waistcoat stitch on this. Good time of year to start having these. I think I'll end up wearing these quite a lot while I'm in here filming, because it'd be cold in here. My hands are currently getting a little numb. And we're just going all the way around, just a normal basic round. Remember, if they are too big for you, just do less stitches when you start your chain. This is really super adjustable to the size that you need. So you never worry about not being able to change it, because this is such a simple pattern with no colour work or stitch shells or anything like that. It's just plain stitch. It means that you can adjust this any way that you feel that you need to. So the width, the height, the stitch count, anything you need to do. Now these are intentionally made slightly big around the actual wrist. One for easy getting them on and off, but two, it gives room for those of us who wear a watch. You'll be able to fit your watch on underneath these without them being too tight. Which I will show you. we're almost around. Okay, so we've got to our increase stitches here, and so we're just going to do the same thing, go in the V here and go in the V here, okay? Might be a little fiddly because it's compact there, but you will get them in. There you go. See, so they've just gone in and they followed the normal V stitch, so they just blend in. Okay, so next row is another increase row, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go all the way around, but this time we're going to go to one stitch before the marker, but we're going to do the increase in a slightly different place. So just single crochet all the way around. The increase in these are reasonably simple. They're always worked in the last few stitches of the row that you're doing the increase on. So you don't have to really worry about counting around too much as long as you have a marker in place so you know where your beginning is. You'll always be able to see where you need to do the increase. So if you have a busy household where you're likely to get interrupted a lot, this is a good pattern because you don't really need to worry about keeping count. It's easy to spot where you should be going next. If you want to work through this faster instead of watching me, just look at the written pattern. It does tell you where you're going to be doing your increases and any decreases and skipping stitches. It's all wrote into the pattern, so you can just read the pattern and go on ahead. Now that you know what stitches, it's entirely up to you. You can even put me on fast forward. YouTube has a really cool feature where you can speed up or slow down the video, so if you need to, just use that. Almost around. And there's no left or right on this, it's just make the same pattern and they actually fit both sides. So don't worry about having to switch it around to the other side, they will fit both hands. Okay, so we're at this point where we done our last increase, and so we did our increase here and then we went in single crochet. So we're going to do that first stitch like you would normally. If you don't do it so tight, you have to use another one. See, it doesn't matter if you do it too tight, just pull it on round and slip it on and finish your stitch. Okay, so now we've done that one. We've still got one stitch left, but what we're going to do is we're actually going to put a stitch where we would normally do a single crochet. So we're going to increase, but we're increasing between the two stitches that we did. So let's see, right now with the waistcoat stitch we go in these V's, but what we're going to do for the increase is actually go where you would normally go for a single crochet. So we're just going to go in for your normal stitch and do your normal single crochet, and then do the last stitch as the proper waistcoat stitch. It kind of mimics a make one in knitting where you're picking up in between the stitches. See how you now have that extra stitch and it's in between the two stitches that we made. So next row round is just a plain single crochet row all the way round. So waistcoat stitch all the way round, or centre post single crochet, or crochet knit stitch, whatever you want to call it. I tend to call it waistcoat stitch, it's just simpler. That's what I first knew it as. those are the two types of increases we're actually going to do for this whole thing, and that's the 2 single crochets into 1 stitch and the 1 single crochet in between the 2 stitches. That's the sort of increase we'll be doing. It helps keep the whole system more centralised while we're doing the increase, and I think it gives a smoother look. Sorry if I'm going off camera, it's a bit... Okay, so we're up to the increases and we're just going to carry on like we normally would. So go through the V's, and that new stitch created, we're going to go through that post again, just like when we did the beginning row and we went through the first row of single crochet. It's just the same thing. Okay, so here's your increase row, and we've gone through, so it's still creating the same thing. You see how that's working? Okay, so the next row is another increase row. So we're just going to go all the way around until we get to these increase rows that we're doing. So just keep working around. Sorry, a little coughing fit. So what we're doing is, remember, we're just going all the way around. It's only been a few seconds for you, but it's been a few minutes for me. So we're just going round, and remember this is an increase row, so when we get to this point we're going to need to do an increase again. Basically we're going to stop 2 stitches before the marker. Okay, so we're now 3 stitches before the marker, and we're going to increase in that middle stitch, so just do 1 normal stitch or waistcoat stitch, and then 2 stitches for the marker. As you can see, we're going to do an increase in that one, so that's just 2 single crochets in that stitch. So in the proper waistcoat stitch pattern we just do 2 single crochets into that 1 stitch, and then the normal single crochet into the last stitch. So we're kind of repeating how we increased on the first time round. You see how we just got 2 into there? This is the pattern we're always going to follow, so 2 into 1 and then 1 in the middle, 2 into 1, 1 in the middle. So single crochet all the way around again, because it's just a plain non-increase row for this one. Okay, so we're at the increase and we're just going to do normal stitches into them. So into the V's, and then into the last stitch. I'm really sorry if you can hear the helicopter, it's flying rather low. Okay, helicopter's mostly gone. Sorry about that. That was really rather low. That actually shook the house. They seem to be doing that a lot recently. So we've just done the normal rows. So we're now going to be doing an increase row again. So same thing. We're just going to single crochet around until the last couple of stitches. And this is slowly building up the thumb. Okay, so once again we're at the end. You can see where we've done the increases here. You got the last stitch, and this is where we've done the last increase. So we're going to increase in between those stitches again. So the third stitch before the marker we do as normal, and then before we do the second stitch from the marker, we're going to go in between like you would be doing a normal single crochet, and then carry on with the waistcoat stitch in the last two stitches. So just like we did last time. Okay, so you see how we've now increased it in there. So we're just keeping all the increases reasonably down the centre line, and that's forming our thumb there. So now the neighbour's dog's out. Are we doing well on filming? Helicopters, dogs, people talking? I don't know how much of it you've picked up, but hopefully it'll stop in a minute. So again, we're going to do a single crochet around. Okay, where we increased, remember here was where we done the increase, so we're just going to go in at centre post to make the waistcoat stitch, and then do the last two stitches. we go. So now we're going to do another increase row. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to single crochet around. Okay, so increase, we need to do an increase in that one, so we're the third one away, so we've got one more here to do normal. And then you can see before the marker we've got 1, 2, 3 stitches. That third stitch there we're going to do an increase in, so that's 2 single crochets into there. And then just do the last 2 as normal. Okay, that's actually the last of the increases now. We've increased to 5 stitches. So you should have 30 stitches now. So now we're going to do 3 straight rounds of waistcoat stitch. So no more increase and just 3 straight rounds. Hey guys, right, so I've done the 3 full rounds of waistcoat stitch. I had to do it off camera because my battery's going, I'm afraid, so I just done that off camera. But the next round we're going to do is we're going to do another plain round, but we're going to skip these last 5 stitches and then do a chain 1 and join to the end. So just go on round to the last 5 stitches. Which again, I'm going to have to do this off camera to try to preserve battery life for a minute, but I'll meet you back round when I've got 5 stitches left, okay? Okay guys, so I've gone all the way around and we've got 5 stitches remaining. We're just going to chain 1 and then we're going to go to this marker stitch here and we're actually just going to go straight into that marker stitch. Might have to move a few things around to get in. Ooh. Again, and just poke that out that side so it's out. And move your stitch up. Okay. And now we're just going to go all the way around again for 3 rows. No, sorry, all the way around again for 2 rows, and then we're going to do a decrease row. So again, I'll go off camera, but we're just doing straight around for 2 rows. Okay, so I'm on that first row. See where we get to this chain? All I do is just go around it like a normal single crochet, just around the chain, and then join in. I think that is more than enough. I don't think you need to go into the chain itself. So just go around it and then carry on for 1 more round, and obviously the next round you'll go into the proper stitch. Okay, so we've done 2 rounds, and now we're going to go around again, but this time when we get to here, these last 2 stitches, we're going to do a decrease over them just to tie it in. So do another round all the way through until you get to the last 2 stitches, and then do a decrease over those stitches. Okay, so we've gone all the way around and we're going to do the decrease. We've got the last 2 stitches, so you're just going to go in like you normally would for the waistcoat stitch into that first stitch. Yarn over and pull through, and then go through to the next stitch. Get it through. Yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 stitches, and then that's done your decrease. You're just removing that chain stitch that you added, and that will tighten up. And now we're just going to do 5 single crochet rows all the way around, so just 5 more rows, and then we're going to finish off. Okay, so we've done the 5 rows and we're all done, so we're just going to remove the stitch marker and slip stitch into that stitch and yarn over and go through to finish off. Snip your ends, pull it through, and then you want to weave that in and we're all done. So if we just come out for a second, show you this on. I'm racing against the clock, but see how it fits over the watch just fine. The one I made earlier. So there we go, a lovely set of wrist warmers, nice and simple, aren't they? Any comments or questions, shove them down in the comment section. I'm really sorry about rushing the end here, but I'm playing battery chicken, so I need to get through this quick. So yeah, pop any questions you have down below and I'll try to answer them. And if it's really bad, ask me to re-record and I will. But the battery's about to run out, so I'm going to have to go. So I'll see you all later. You take care. Bye.